Hey guys, this is Rodney with GearCore EDC with today's carry. A little small gentleman's flipper, I guess you would call it, done in G10 in titanium with a milled titanium pocket clip. This is the Ontario knife made in Taiwan, and this is the Carter Trinity. This is inspired by Robert Carter's knife designer. He has another model that this falls in line with. Stasa 23 makes reference to the knife. I can't remember what it is, and Dr. Funky has one that this is similar to. But we have basically a just shy of 3-inch blade. Not quite 3 inches. And the overall length of about 6 3/4. With a blade height of roughly, little sort of a tall blade for such a small knife, about 1 inch and a 1/16, inch and an eighth roughly, depending on where you measure it. Very slender in hand. This knife measures 403 thou. Blade stock is 1/8 of an inch, and behind the edge is 22 thou. It's a neat little knife. When I first got it, the clip was bent downward, real like sloped down. And I talked to the guy about it. I bought it secondhand, and he said it was like a big pin. And I'm not sure. I've seen some that did have a slight bend to them. I've seen some that weren't bent. So I was thinking mine might have been bent, so I took it off and flexed it back straight again. I'm not sure. Maybe, he was right, and which he probably was, that it's supposed to be bent more downward to keep from snagging on stuff in your pockets or on the outside of your pocket. There is a hardened insert that is drilled and tapped from one side only, so this side is smooth. The lock bar relief is on the interior, which adds to a nice clean line on this knife. I like that attribute. Very thin, minimalistic pocket clip, even though there is a portion hanging out of the blade, hanging out of the pocket. I don't have material, but that's how much would be sticking out of the pocket, so a little much for such a small knife. The flipper tab does sort of hinder this finger twirl area here, so you really can't get a full finger in there, as you can see, but you can still get a 4-finger grip. And it's got a nice upward thumb ramp. So it's a usable knife. It's not the best make of design cues here and there. It does have a little ramping in here to where you can get your finger in there and close it. Blade to handle ratio is nice. You can see there, almost all the way to the end. I've noticed, I don't know if it's with all of the Trinity knives, this particular model, but it seems like it's got a catch in it. I'm going to take this one apart and see if I can tweak it just a little bit. I've thought about cutting the thumb tab off if it didn't affect the way the knife closed. I couldn't cut it all off because the tab is what interacts in the closing with the stop pin in the open position and the closed position. So I won't be able to modify it too much. I was thinking about putting a small little spidey hole here, but there it would go through the Carter Trinity etching. So, maybe not. Stasa 23 has a ramp, a little brass thumb piece on his. Pretty cool. Like that idea too. But what I'm talking about is, I see if you can hear it. Can you hear that click when it's like it's a double click. It's so close together it's hard to distinguish. But it's like it's coming out of the ball is coming out of the detent hole, and there's a secondary click somewhere in there. I'm not sure if that is a intended design feature. This is the only one I've ever held. I know by watching different reviews, this is on bronze and very, very thin Teflon washers. But it definitely has a click to it. And while the detent is very strong, you can't, it's almost too slick to pull. You can hear that snap. You hear that? And when it's coming out of that detent hole, it's really tight under finger. It takes some moderate pressure, you know, probably easily a 8-pound pull if you wanted to figure trigger pulls, maybe even 10 pounds. It's pretty tight, but it's not overly bad. I mean, there's no way you could gravity open this knife. It's not going to come open. Not going to happen. I do like it. It's different. I really like this blade shape. It's unique. It's satiny, so it shows every fingerprint you can think of. But I like this double swedge on the top, and it's still nice and thin. It almost disappears behind the edge. The grind is nice and symmetrical on both sides, so that part is done very well. And this blade material is AUS 8. You can see there, get it to come in camera. Carter Trinity AUS 8, which AUS 8 is not a bad steel. The pivot screw looks like a T8, and these are T6s back here in the back, and T6s for the clip in the back. I'm not sure if it's a D pivot in here or not. G10 is nicely milled and is very similar to other Ontario models that I have, like the Rat 1 and the Rat 2. Maybe not quite as slick as those. But I do like the interior lock that adds to the cleanliness of the back frame. And I like the barrel spacers, how they are turned down in the center. Nice little feature. Centering on my sample is right down the center. And lockup is a nice hefty 50-60%. So, or actually more than that. Looking, it's probably closer to, yeah, 60 to 70% engagement. So it's a heavy lockup. There is no detent lash, no blade play, no lock rock. It's nice, solid, and it's a tiny little knife. But you can still get, I can still get a 4-finger. That was today's carry. Hope you've enjoyed it. I hope y'all have a great night. This is Rodney with GaraCore EDC. God bless. Stay safe. Stay sharp. Bye now.